Hi guys, happy Wednesday. I hope everybody's still doing okay with this quarantine. Looks like the world's kind of going to start to get back to normal. But anyway, I thought I'd come on today and give you another quick update about what I've been reading lately. I have, let me see, four books to talk about. And as you know, I don't really rate books, but I'll definitely talk about things I liked and didn't like from each one. And I will just go ahead and get started. The first one is The Guest List by Lucy Foley. I got this as a Book of the Month pick. My book club and then kind of chose it all together. I really liked the synopsis of this. It is about a wedding that's taking place on this island in Ireland. It's kind of remote and they have to take a boat to get out there. It's really small. And it's a thriller. Someone gets murdered and basically you're trying to figure out what happened. I heard it kind of, before I read it, explained as the board game Clue in book form, and I would agree with that. I did think it was a little bit slow at first. It took me a while to get into it. There was a whole lot of character building. You're following 5 people? Yeah. You're following the bride, the +1, the best man, the wedding planner, and then one of the bridesmaids. So it goes, you know, a couple pages at a time between those 5. And you're really just learning their stories and their experience of the wedding. And like I said, I thought that was a little bit slow, but there were a lot of twists and turns kind of toward the end that I did not see coming. So I think that kind of redeemed it. I always love thrillers that have twists where I didn't expect them, or when the place where I knew there was a twist coming, it wasn't the twist I expected. So that was pretty cool with that one. Another thriller was The Night Olivia Fell, and this one was by Christina McDonald. This is another thriller. It's not quite as new as The Guest List. I think I got this from a Scribbler subscription box that I also subscribe to. So this book is about a mother who gets a phone call that her daughter is actually brain dead. In the middle of the night, she goes to the hospital and she finds her daughter hooked up to all these machines, all kinds of things. And she's trying to figure out what happened. And on top of that, you find out that her daughter was actually pregnant. And she had no idea. So kind of what went into that? You see her talk to her daughter's best friend, her daughter's best friend's brother, her daughter's boyfriend, all kinds of people. She's a single mom. She is kind of described as sort of having some confidence issues. She kind of lives vicariously through her daughter, doesn't have a lot of a life outside of kind of living for her daughter. Her daughter's supposedly this perfect girl that everybody loves and admires. She's 17, so I guess a junior in high school. And the mom's life kind of, she thought, revolved around her. But it's the story of her realizing kind of how much of a life her daughter had outside of her that she had no idea about. And I actually really liked this one. I thought it was good. Next is You'd Be Mine by Erin, Hahn, I believe. I was interested in this because I'm such a passionate country music fan. So I figured a book and country music together, you know, obviously count me in. This, I would definitely say, is YA. It follows a girl whose, her parents were, I kind of would compare them to Johnny Cash and June Carter Cash, as far as like country music royalty couple that everybody just loved, and admired. And you find out, actually both committed suicide because of kind of the pressures of the music industry. And I want to say this happened 5 or 6 years ago, and now the girl is 17 years old, and she wants to be a singer herself, but she is kind of afraid. She doesn't want to turn into her mom. She's afraid she's going to follow in her mom's footsteps, especially when this heartthrob, the current superstar. Hold on a second. Sorry, wanted to pause for my dog barking there. Anyway, the current, I guess, it boy of country music kind of Taylor Swift, except he's a male. He is in some trouble, kind of with his image for being too big of a partier, and his label's sending him out on tour. And kind of to make up for the trouble he's in and the damage control they've had to do because of him, they want him to get Annie, which is our main character, the 17-year-old girl, to come with him and open for him. And she's never really recorded an album. She doesn't even have a band, really. She kind of does with her cousin and her best friend, but they've never, like I said, they don't have a label. They haven't recorded. They don't do really anything professional. So he comes out and kind of has to talk her into coming on tour because she's very talented and has been seen kind of like on YouTube and stuff like that. So she does have talent. She comes from two very talented parents, and she does want to be a singer, but she's kind of nervous and scared about it. She does agree to go on tour, and it sort of follows their story of a summer on tour. It's kind of a hate hate back to love story, is how I would describe it. I liked it though. I ended up thinking it was a pretty good story. This last one I have to talk about is called If You Find This Letter. It's by Hannah Brencher. This is a memoir. Hannah graduated from college, and her dream was to move to New York City. So she joined the UN, or she got a job with the UN, and they moved her to the Bronx. She's getting to live her life, but it's not really what she expected it to be. She still kind of feels purposeless and like something's missing for her. So it's kind of following that story. Honestly, I kind of thought it was slow at first, but then the aspect of it that kind of made me interested in the first place, when it came around, I really connected to it. What she decided to do was actually start writing letters to people. She thought, I can't be alone and just feeling like I should be doing more. Like there could be more to my life. So she started writing what she calls love letters. They're not really love letters. They're just letters that help others feel like they're understood. They're not alone. Like somebody is there for them. Somebody relates to them. So she started doing this and leaving them all over Manhattan. She would leave them on the subway. She left them in the library, in diners, in restaurants, all over the city. And people started finding them. And it became just a much, much bigger deal than she expected. She had a blog that she was keeping to kind of chronicle her year in New York. And on that blog, she wrote about doing this with the letters, and she kind of said, if you would like me to send you a letter, send me your address, and I will. And she talks about just getting flooded with those requests, and what an impact it made on her to realize that she wasn't alone. There were a lot of people that also missed snail mail, missed knowing somebody was thinking about them, missed the idea of a text message is such instant gratification. You can just go back and forth. But snail mail letters, you can go so much deeper. You have to wait for it to show up. All this stuff is just a completely different feeling to it. And it just completely blew her mind to know that there were so many other people that connected to that. She didn't really expect it. So she's talking about kind of how that got started. She did it in New York, and I want to say her number was 200. She was going to stop at 200 letters. And at 200, she still had so many coming in. And so her friend and her mom and all these people are telling her, like, you can't stop. You've been feeling purposeless in your life. Like, this is what you were made to do. This is it. She was volunteering at a local elementary school in the Bronx. Obviously, they didn't have a lot of money. And one of the readers of her blog that was really loved the letter she was sending sent her a box of toys to give to her kids. She had people mailing her stamps to use to send out letters to these people. All kinds of stuff. She was getting so much support. And like I said, these people started telling her, like, you can't stop. So her UN job lasts for a year, and she moves back home and gets a job at home in North Carolina, I want to say. And she's finally like, okay, fine, I'll keep doing this. She goes and gets a P.O. box and is like, here, send letters here. She has this idea for what she calls love letter bundles that she's going to start to construct for people. She gets the smallest box because that's all she can afford. She goes to pick it up the first time, and they had to move her to a bigger box because so many people wrote her love letters, sent her requests for love letters, wrote love letters to these people. She would post people's kind of stories on her blog and explain like why they needed support, why they needed a letter, reminding them that someone was there for them. And she was getting so many. And all these things just kept happening, letting her know that it was kind of meant to be, that this was a good thing. And now it's a website that still is going today called moreloveletters.com. And I was just really interested to hear about that. I thought it was a really cool idea. So those are the last 4 books I've read. I'm in the middle of a couple books right now. A lot of them are actually ebooks, since I haven't been able to go to the library or anything, obviously. So I won't have physical books to show to you probably when I talk about those, but I will update you as soon as possible as I finish those. So hopefully at least one of these books, was interesting to you or intrigues you. Let me know if you read any of them, or as always, if you have other suggestions you think I should read. Have a great rest of your day, guys.